Thank you, Natalie. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Let me share my screen. And can you hear me all right?
Yes. Audio's good. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Can you see this?
Yes, it looks good. I'm gonna make you smaller. Hang on a sec. And then I'm probably gonna drag you down here. All right, you look great. Yeah, you're in good shape.
Okay. All right, so I'll just introduce myself a little bit. I know I was already kind of introduced a little bit, but my name is Natalee Summers. I've been a beekeeper for a few years now. I don't know if anybody knows me from YouTube, but I do have a YouTube channel called Beekeeping Like a Girl. And I started that about a year ago, and I'll talk a little bit more about that also. But I'm just going to kind of talk about my journey in beekeeping and then a little bit on how to raise your queens or just the benefits on raising queens. And that's one of the things that I enjoy most in beekeeping. So I figured it would be fun to talk about it. So I think that was all I was going to say for introducing myself. But moving on to how I got started into beekeeping was mainly because of my dad. And my dad had researched beekeeping for about 10 years in advance, and I had always followed him around with really anything. And so when he got into beekeeping, that's kind of when I got started with it also. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got started with it. And so I owe a lot to my dad for that. And of course, my mom too, because she always helped me stick with it, even though when sometimes I didn't want to. So let's see. Our very first swarm was off of a truck hitch. And so that was kind of why we named our family business Hitch Hive Honey. And so you can see here on the picture, this was the swarm. And we were lucky enough to have a little bit of equipment and we were able to get that swarm for us. So that was really exciting. And that's when we named our family business Hitch Hive Honey. And so this is our logo here. The picture on the left, or that might be on the right for you, I'm not sure, is just a picture of our logo. It's a little bit different from our labels on here, and it's also not super clear, so you can't see it as well. So sorry about that. But the bottles over here, you can see that's our family business, and then YouTube is pretty much just me. I do a lot of the editing, and then my mom does a lot of the filming for me. So yeah, so I started beekeeping when I was 8 years old, and I watched my dad for about a year and just kind of stood from a distance because I didn't have a suit at the time. And we only had one bee suit, I think. And so it was pretty much just my dad doing the bee work. And so I just kind of watched him for about a year and just kind of learned a little bit. And then at the age of 10, I got my own bee suit, and it was for my birthday. And that's what you can see here on the pictures. And so once I got my own bee suit, I was able to kind of work the hives a little bit more. And so that's when I started really learning more about the bees. And so every now and then I would like hold a frame or so and just kind of learn the difference between a drone, a queen, and of course the workers. And so that's what I did for a few years. And then it felt like it happened all really fast. And so I just started working hives, and now I work hives a lot, and it's one of my biggest passions for sure. And I hope to continue doing beekeeping for as long as possible. And then, so we bought 7 nucs, and that's when we really got started. I'll go a little bit more or talk a little bit more about that later on kind of the first hives that we had. I mean, like I said earlier, our first hive was from that truck hitch. And so after a couple years, we bought 7 nucs because that's when we realized that we really wanted to get into it and do beekeeping. So, and I'm sure a lot of people in the room know how it works. You can get maybe 2 hives, and then, in just a couple weeks, or, just seems like really short, you can end up with like 5 more hives or even 10. You just grow so fast like that. And that's kind of what happened for us. I remember going from 7 to 9 really fast, and then to 20. And so here's a picture of the beginning of 2019. It was just an empty yard that we were planning to have bees. And then the beginning of 2020, You can see the picture at the bottom. And so we grew pretty fast, and I don't really recommend doing that because it can be really stressful to do that, and sometimes you're not always ready for it. But we did have a few hives before this because we had started, I think it was 2017 maybe. So also, I don't know if you can see on the side because for me, I'm right where the words are, but 2020 was our swarm season. And so last year we had a bunch of swarms, and I don't know exactly why. I think it had stuff to do with the weather that year and coming out of winter and stuff like that. But we had a bunch of swarms, and that's one way that we grew a lot is because of those. And so these three pictures are just some of the swarms that we got that year. And that was just last year. And so now we're at about 50 to 60. I always lose track because the number changes quite a lot. So I want to go through a little bit about our honey harvest and how much we've gotten over the years. So 2017, we had a small crop for ourselves, and it was just enough for us. And I don't even think that got us through the whole year. And we pretty much had a small crop of honey until 2019. And you can read it on the words too. It just kind of explains a little bit more. But 2018 was pretty much the same as 2017. And we had gotten our honey from most of the swarms that year. And then 2019, you can see it says 70 pounds of honey. And so I think we had sold a little bit of that, but it's always important to make sure you have enough before you sell the honey, or at least for us it is. And then 2020, last year, was the best that we've ever had. And I don't know if that goes out to everybody, but it definitely goes out to us. And I think it's because we had more colonies at that point, and it was just a really good year with the flowers and the weather. So, but this year wasn't as good as last year. I know a guy up in Tennessee who had a really bad year, like the worst year he's ever had before last year. But then this year he had a really good year. So I'm not sure if there's something to do with the weather with that. But if we would have had the same crop as we did last year, we would probably have a lot of honey because we have more hives than we did last year. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's just kind of a little bit of the honey harvest that we've had over the last few years. And we focus on making sure that our hives are nice and strong and not taking too much honey from them, because that's always important to make sure that the bees have enough honey before you take too much from them. So moving on to YouTube, and I know there's a lot of different opinions out there on YouTube. There's a lot of different opinions out there on beekeeping in general, but I started YouTube when I was 12, so about a year ago. And so we got into it because we had done a live chat one time for a swarm that we were picking up, and we had a lot of questions, but it also came with a lot of people saying that we should do a YouTube channel. And I feel like we had talked about it a little bit before about doing a YouTube channel, but we were never really set on doing it. And so we kind of just went for it and started a YouTube channel. And we've had a lot of success with it. And I probably wouldn't be here today if I didn't have it either. And there's a couple different people that I know that I probably wouldn't have ever known from YouTube if it wasn't for YouTube. And so there's a lot of false information out there, but there's also a lot of good information. And I think it's worth it to be able to find that information. So I'm going to recommend a couple of channels. I think it's the next slide. I'm not sure. And I'm sure some people know who these people are because they're pretty popular, I guess. But so the first one is Kamon Reynolds with Tennessee's Bees. You can just search Kamon Reynolds or Tennessee's Bees and it'll come up on YouTube. These are the four people that I watch mainly on YouTube and get a lot of good information out there. Kamon has a mix of a lot of stuff. I think sometime this year he reached actually 400 hives, and he didn't mean to get up there, I don't believe. Me and Kamon are pretty close, so we talk a lot. So he's a really good guy, and he has a lot of videos on queen grafting too, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and then making splits. He has a lot of that stuff. And so 628 Dirt Rooster Bees is the channel name, and it's from Randy McCaffrey. He's a really cool guy, and I've made a video with actually all of these people except for Ian Stepler, which I'll talk about later. But if you're interested in doing cutouts, that's definitely someone to watch is Randy. He does that pretty much. That's pretty much all he does. I mean, he probably does a couple of swarms and stuff, but that's the main thing that he does. And so yeah, he has a really cool channel, and it's a fun channel. It's not just being in the hives. There's a couple of other stuff that he does. So yeah, you should definitely check out his channel. And then Bob Binnie, I know pretty much everybody knows who Bob Binnie is. And not everybody, but he's a pretty cool guy. And I've been able to meet him quite a lot, or at least a couple times, I think. And so his channel and Ian Stepler is more of a commercial beekeeper. So if you're into that, you should definitely check out those channels for sure. And Ian Stepler is in Canada. So you can see from his title, it's a Canadian beekeeper's blog. So those are the 4 channels that I personally recommend. I haven't really done a whole lot more research on that. I mean, there's probably a couple more channels that I would recommend, but these are the 4 top ones that I would recommend. And so, yeah. And then queen grafting. So, like I said, this is my favorite thing to do in beekeeping. It's kind of hard for me to talk about it because I want to do it so badly right now, but it's definitely not that time of the year. And so, like I said, I started it last year, and it seems like we've been doing it for a while, but it's only been about a year. But we've learned a lot from it. And if you want more information on that, so I'm not going to explain exactly how to do it because I could talk about it for hours, and I don't have that much time. So, but if you want to check it out, you can go to Kamon Reynolds or my channel. I'm not trying to promote my channel, but I do have a couple of videos on that. And then I know Bob Binnie also does too. He has a couple of videos, but I know he doesn't do the grafting. He has some people that do it for him. So these are just some of the cells that I've grafted before. And like I said, I won't go through on how to do the grafting, but I do want to go through a couple of the benefits to grafting your own queens. So you get to graft from your own hives. And so if you have a hive that is just one of your favorite hives and you want more of hives like that, you can graft so that you can keep that generation going and keep that genetics going so that you have more hives like that. So if you have a hive that doesn't have a tendency to always want to swarm or can keep out pests, and the queen has a really, really good laying pattern, that's always really good too. So that's one of the main reasons. And then moving on to, you don't have to buy queens because buying queens can cost up to, I think the lowest right now is like $30 or $40 just for one queen. And I'll show you some of the things that you need to buy in order to graft your queens. And once you buy them, you can use them over and over again. And so it's a lot cheaper that way to graft your own queens. And I know some people, it might seem a little bit intimidating to do it, and it was for me, but once I got started, it was really easy. And so that's the main reason. And then you can graft as many as you want. And so I might have talked about that a little bit already, but typically you will do 15. 15 is on one bar, which I'll show you in a second. I think that's on the next slide. And so you can graft as many as you want, depending on how many queens you might need for that year. And then it just doesn't cost as much. And you can sell them and give them away to make more money if you want to. And so these are some of the tools that I use. And so I'm already losing my voice somehow. I don't normally talk this much. But anyway, let me grab some water. So the up top here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but up top here is a Chinese grafting tool. And that's personally what I use to graft my queens and to pick up that larva. And so if you're first time starting it out, I would definitely recommend these ones because they're the easiest and it's the main thing that a lot of people use. But then also down here is, I'm not sure what this one is called, but I've also used this one and it's not my favorite. It's a little bit harder to use and it's really small, so it's kind of hard to see. but I haven't really been able to figure it out as much. So I recommend the Chinese grafting tool, which you can buy off of, I think we get ours off of Amazon, but you can also get them off of Man Lake, I think. Pretty much all of the stuff on here you can get off of Man Lake. And then these are the cups that you'll need to graft your larva into. And so I just use the black ones. I've used both of these. I prefer the black ones just because for me it's hard, or it's a little bit easier to see the larva, but that's really the only reason. So it doesn't matter what color you use, but anyway, so that's what you'll need. And then you'll need this bar down here, and the cups will go right under it, and they'll just kind of attach right on top of that. And so it'll face downwards so that they'll build it out like a normal cell. And then the frame, I think you can buy these frames. I'm not 100% sure though, because we just made ours homemade. If we have the equipment, we always just go ahead and make something that we have the stuff for. So they're really easy to build. You just put in a little bit of extra wood on the side here, and then put some slots right here so that the bar can go into that. So yeah, you can buy all of this off of Man Lake, I think. And then these up here we also bought off of Amazon. So I started grafting queens in 2020, which I've already mentioned quite a lot. And then over here, this is the Chinese grafting tool up close. And right here is the larva. And I don't, like I said, I'm not sure if you can see over here, but this is the cup and there's a larva right in here. But so yeah, that's the Chinese grafting tool. And with this one, this right here can be, you can move it. So it just slides the larva right off into the cup. But back here with this tool right here, it's kind of hard to get the larva off. So that's why I recommend trying the Chinese grafting tool when you're first getting started. So yeah, that's a little bit about grafting queens. And then this is some of the grafts that I've also done before. On this one, it looks like I got 15 out of 15, but that doesn't happen very often. So that's probably why we took the picture. But if you get, 1 or even 2 out of 15, that's fine. That's one queen that you just made. And it's always nice to be able to say that you made a queen, you helped with it. So yeah, if you get a chance to do grafting, I think you should try it out. And if you're not good at it, it's okay. And if you are, you should definitely do it more often. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it with grafting the queens. And did I talk really fast? Okay, I'm not sure I wasn't sure how much time I had, but that was pretty much it. That was pretty much my whole presentation there. So I think we were going to take questions, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Natalie, that was great. Thank you. Am I echoing on somebody's background, I think? So we'll give everybody in the chat an opportunity to type up their questions if anybody has any questions for you, and folks here as well to think about their questions. But the first question I had for you, Natalie, is that it kind of looks like I thought I saw some 8-frame equipment there. Is that right? You guys running 8 frames?
Yeah, it's more of like a 10 frame, but we do frame feeders, so that takes it down to I think 8 frames normally.
I see.
But yeah. We do deeps and mediums normally. We have shallows also, but we haven't used those yet. It would probably be easier for me because I'll point out the obvious. I am a girl and it is hard for me to lift stuff like that. But yeah.
Are there any questions from the folks in person? Yeah.
I went on, hi Natalie, my name is James. I went to your YouTube channel. I know you had double view set up. Can you explain it real quick?
So James, the question from James was, he noticed that you had double nuke set up on your YouTube channel. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so I do use double nuke boxes, and I think we might have started that last year, or maybe the year before, because I know we went through winter with them. But they're really nice. I like doing the double nukes, and there's a lot of benefits to it. I have a YouTube video on kind of the benefits to using double nuke boxes, but if you want to try them out, I suggest you do. And so how it works, if you're wondering, it's basically, so it's a deep box just a normal, like the background ones that I have on my background. It's just a normal box like that, but there's a divider in the middle of it. So you can have 2 different colonies on each side, and then they'll have 2 separate boxes to go on top as your colony grows and stuff like that. So yeah, I really like them. And yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to it, especially during the winter time when they kind of share the heat a little bit more. But there is a couple things about them. There's always those downfalls to things like that. But the only thing that we've noticed or we have experienced with those is the fact that sometimes, because bees can get over to get through like just a tiny little gap. And I think what we were experiencing is there was a small gap and the bees were getting to the other side. And I guess just realizing or thinking that they were one big colony. So when they found out that there was another queen, I think that they thought they had 2 queens in the hive. So they killed the other queen. And so we did experience that. So you have to make sure that there's no little cracks for them to be able to get through. But we've only had that trouble a couple of times. But that's really the only thing, but that's also a pretty big thing with them. Oh yeah, my mom's right next to me talking to me. So good thing though, because I almost forgot this. So they share a super though. So when it comes to the honey flow, what you'll do is put a queen excluder on top, just like you normally would with a normal hive. And then you'll put your super or whatever kind of box you're using for the honey to go in. And so they'll share the super. So one hive will work on this side and the other will work on the other side. And so they work to build one super together. And we got a decent amount of honey from our double nuke boxes. So yeah.
Interesting. How many double nuke boxes do you guys run of the colonies that you have?
I think we have 10 boxes. And so oh yeah, so that's 20 because there's 2 on each side. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, one thing, they're also really great resource hives. So when it comes to we use a lot of our nukes for like helping out other hives. So if all of a sudden one of our production hives goes queenless, all of a sudden we can take from the double nukes to like take their queen and give it to our production hive or stuff like that. So we use them for like resources too. So if we have another hive that might just need a shake of bees or a frame of brood, we can take it from our double nukes. And you might not use it like that, but that's how we use ours as our resource hives. That's what we call them.
Awesome. Any other questions?
And Natalee, I saw you were up in Des Moines last week with Bob and Kamon. How did that go for you?
It was great. I guess so. I don't know. Does most people in the room know who Kamon is? Just wondering. Maybe.
They're saying yes, Natalee. Yeah.
Yeah, most people do. But so this should make a little bit of sense. But me and Kamon, I've known Kamon for a while now, and he's known me for a while too. But I used to watch his videos all the time, and I still do, of course. But so me and Kamon, the way we communicate is just picking on each other, and it's really easy to pick on him because he's short, and so that's the obvious there. So anyways, just pointing that out. But anyway, so if you ever meet Kamon, you should definitely pick on him, and don't tell him I said that. But anyways, he has no business talking about him right now. But it was fun. I had a really good time. We got to film a video together, but by the time we filmed the video, I was worn out. And I don't know if very many people know this, but I'm actually a pretty quiet and shy person. I'd rather just sit back and listen. So this is definitely something different for me to do. But so by the time we filmed that video, I was really tired because I had talked to people more than I normally would. So, but yeah, I made a video on my YouTube channel and I talked to Bob and Kamon. But yeah, so anyways, Kamon picks on me a lot and I pick on him. But I also try not to pick on him because it drives him crazy. Whatever annoys Kamon, I'll do it. So yeah. But I brought
Natalee, how,
So
What?
you're going down to his Tennessee meeting in January, is that right?
Yeah, I was gonna mention something, but I wasn't sure if I should. So yeah, he has a conference in January. I went last year. Last year was his first year on doing it, and it's a really good conference. I really suggest going. I think he just opened up a couple more spots. I think he has, is it 850 people? I think that's how many people he can, or right now that he's opening it up to. He's already at like 700 people. And the Iowa conference, there was probably about 100 or 150 people, maybe. That's just an estimate. And that's already makes me really nervous. So wish me luck for the Tennessee conference. I don't know how that's gonna go, but we'll see.
yeah, good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Kamon said he was gonna bring me up on stage, so we'll see what happens. I really hope that doesn't happen, but it probably will.
How many, how many,
The Rooster's gonna be there too, isn't he? Mr.
Who?
Ed?
Oh,
The
yes.
Dirt
So, yeah, I went down to see Dirt Rooster about a month ago, I think. But I didn't get to see Mr. Ed, so we'll be able to see him in Tennessee. So, yeah.
That's quite a crew.
What?
how many,
yeah.
Natalee, how many subscribers do you have on your channel right now?
Well, let me see. It's been going up pretty fast lately. 3,700.
Oh, so speaking to a few hundred should be no issue for you, right?
Well, okay. The difference is
Well played, Eric.
it's just me and my mom filming a video normally. And that's so different because me and my mom are super close. So it's normal for me to just talk to my mom. Like, it's just like I'm talking to my mom. But
Sure.
no, I can't talk in front of that many people. But I think Kamon's gonna make me. So he makes me step out of my comfort zone a lot. But anyways, yeah, I talked to
Well,
Kamon.
Nat, thanks so much for this presentation. This has been great. We wish you good luck at your next presentation, and
Thank you.
thanks for taking the time with us. And yeah,
Thank you.
Natalie, before you go, we have some of our scholarship students that are online and doing here youth scholarships. We have a program to get youth into the beekeeping. So I have a feeling they probably enjoy seeing somebody who's about their age as a beekeeper. Thank you.
yeah, thank you for that.
I couldn't hear exactly. It was kind of cutting out.
Oh yeah, Phil was just saying that we've got some youth scholarship students that are both online, and we just appreciate you kind of representing the younger community, and hopefully your presentation was encouragement to them today to stay involved and to grow their beekeeping knowledge. So.
Yeah, we definitely need to get younger people into the beekeeping community. So yeah, I had a really good time. Thank you so much for having me.
Agreed. Thank you. Well, Natalee, we're going to do some business with a portion of the meeting. You're welcome to stay on, but you're also welcome to unshare your screen. And if you've got other things to do or that you find this part boring, you're welcome to bail as well. So we just thank you for speaking to us.
And Natalie, since you're at Celsius Springs, you're more than welcome to come down to our meetings anytime.
Yeah, come to a meeting sometime.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Natalee.
Thanks, Natalie.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Phil, you want to?
Like we have our scholarship students up there. Yeah, like I said, we have some business to have to take care of. Before we do, I'd just like to mention in passing, some of you know, and some of you don't know, we lost one of our members, a lifetime member here about 2 weeks ago. Roger Nichols, he was kind of a giant in Beekeeping, Missouri. I think maybe the past president of Missouri, maybe the past president here, but he's the one that started the Missouri State Beekeepers booth at the state fair. So he's been about, passed away, like 83, I think. 82, 82. Randy, I think, where he lived. Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know where. I don't know where-
83rd.
83rd.
Yeah.
Okay. I never know what city I'm actually in. I understand. I said I didn't know. Yeah, he was a heck of a nice guy, and I noticed one of our members, Eric, was one of the pallbearers.
Oh, yeah. Well, they asked me to. I was honored.
Yeah, that wouldn't get on.
Yeah.
Nice guy. We need elections of officers. I'm going to read very quickly. This is from our bylaws. Each officer shall be a member of the Midwestern Beekeeper Association. Officers of this association shall consist of a president, the first vice president, second vice president, third vice president, secretary, treasurer, librarian, webmaster, / social media, auditor, and 3 directors to make it the executive board of the association. And the 10-year office will be 1 year, except the directors are on a 3-year term. And we've got those, and they kind of rotate. With the new one elected each year, the other 2 stay on, they don't have to be elected. Normally, the officer is elected by ballot month of November. However, if there is only one person running for each office, it's just a voice vote, which we do today. There are no positions that have 2 people running for. And in order to be qualified, the office of president nominee shall have an active member for at least 1 year. I think I was elected. By the way, when you volunteer to help out, you never know what to say. Somebody told me what it was going to be, and like I agreed to, and they told me later to joke. But I couldn't play. So basically, I'm just running through the members. Current members want to offer to stay. We've got one new one. I'm president, secretary Lenora Wolfie, first vice president Eric Messner, the second vice president Jackie Griffin. She's new. Been a beekeeper about 3 years. Third vice president Brian Pendleton, the editor of Listing Committee. Robert Scott, the treasurer. Robert Burns, the auditor. Have a position open for webmaster. Bob Waits is going to elect time being. And also our first past president. And according to the way I figured it out, the first vice president, third board member moves up to first. Okay, so based on that rotation, the first board member will be Harold Walters, second be Marty Hanson, third Terry Wright. We'll go get that right. I don't think it really makes a whole lot of order. So basically, that's who the members are. And those members just kind of stand up so everybody doesn't see who you are. Should they just stand up when they come on? Got pretty much full board here tonight. Thank you. So is Mr. I was not a nomination before, but that was really interesting. So all those in favor of approving these officers, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good. We're set for 2022.